Welcome to another episode of the Modern Skein podcast. My name is Sharon Graff, and I am the owner of the Modern Skein, which is a yarn shop here in Conroe, Texas.
And I'm Cathie, co-host extraordinaire this morning.
I love it. I love it. So we changed up our background just a little bit, mostly to try to figure out lighting, because it's a new space and figuring out lighting. I was going to turn it the other way, and that did not work. I still feel like I'm a little bit in the shadow. Maybe it's just giving me a good tan. I don't know. But
at least you're not in the corner.
I'm not. Because
nobody puts Sharon in the corner.
Well, I'm like, I'm at the corner of the table. What are you talking about? That's a good one. So, hello. Welcome. I feel like this is going to be the Hot Mess Express episode because I've just had a Hot Mess Express kind of morning. I'm still in my gym clothes because it's just been that kind of morning. But it's fine. And I realize I never did anything to my hair. It's fine. It's fine. You guys don't care, right? I hope not. I'm going to caffeinate.
Good. I'm already probably over-caffeinated, so I'll hold back.
Okay. You know what I didn't do?
What did you not do, Sharon?
Pull my finished objects.
Do you have any finished objects?
Do I? I don't know.
Well, I know I don't have any finished objects.
I talked about that one last time, right? I talked about cold hearts already.
Yes.
We did that.
Yes.
We already talked about the hat.
Yes.
Oh. Yes, I do. Okay.
Oh, okay.
You chat.
I chat. Okay. Well, I don't have any finished objects because if you watched the last episode, you know that I was catching up on a lot of unfinished whips from way back when. So that was my concentration. And then I had a long run of cast-on-itis, so I've got lots of whips to talk about today.
I do too, but I was like, I know I finished that.
Yes, you did.
And it's a big finish.
Yes, it is a big finish, and I had completely forgotten about that one as well.
Me too. Okay, so I do feel a little cramped. Not that you're squishing me, but because the table's now here too, so I'm like, ugh. You're fine. So if I smack you, you know
okay,
why.
That's all right.
Okay.
I probably deserve smacking occasionally.
So I knit now the lighting's much better on my face. Maybe I just need to wear not white.
Possibly.
This is the Doppio sweater by, look down in the show notes because I can see her name, but I'm going to butcher it. It's like Suhong, something like that. I'm going to, like I said, butcher it. But this is the Doppio. It's so cute. I'm going to step off camera and put it on.
Why don't you do that?
And why don't you talk about the yarn I used? Since you know what yarn I used.
So Sharon knit the Doppio. It's 3 strands held together, and she used the new, soon to come out, the end of March, the Yorkshire fingering in the colorways Royal Ballet and Water Avens, and she held that with a strand of the Dachas Suri, also by Red Stag Fibre, in the colorway Great Hall. I don't know why I suddenly went blank on that because I know what color it is.
All right, so ta-da! This is the Doppio. So I knit the 3rd size. So it's a bit oversized, more oversized than if I had knit it for myself. I knit this as a sample. I did the decreasing, like it's got a little wrinkle in it, but I did the decreasing for the waist, which I really like it since it is more cropped. And I'm holding a squat right now, so
After a workout.
After a workout. So we've got raglan shaping here, which is real cute. The fold over collar. I'll get a little closer. You can see, and I just love the marled effect that you get.
I do too.
Holding the 3 yarns together. So cute. I love it. I can see another one of these in my future because, I mean, red's not my color, my go-to color.
Although it looks very good on you.
And pink is not my color at all, but it's more red than pink, I feel like, from a distance.
Definitely.
So I can tolerate this. I'll actually wear it, I think, for the rest of the episode. Although I have fuzz.
Now you have fuzz
on my nose.
on your nose.
So all in all, I enjoyed it. It is pretty much knit to pattern. I'm trying to think if there's anything I modified. Oh, okay. So the pattern does have a few little quirks, I guess would be an interesting way. So it is knit in the round, and she has you put in, if you've ever knit like Isabel Kramer things, a lot of times you do a purl row to kind of have like a faux seam. So she has you put in those faux seams on the side. She does say they're optional. I like the look of it. And then she also had a thing where you could put in a faux seam in the raglan. However, then she tells you if you put in the faux seams, you are to then mattress stitch them close. My opinion is that then you lose the detail you just spent all that time putting in for a visual detail. And unless you're using maybe some plant-based fibers or like 3 strands of silk, maybe something that has absolutely no memory whatsoever, you do not need it for the structure that she's telling you that this sewing the faux seams will supply. Again, obviously, if you want to do it, you can do it. It's fine.
Well, I think it's a way of getting structure in a seam.
It is.
Without having the separate pieces, because I know a lot of times people are scared of seaming, not because of the actual act of doing the seaming, but because they never can get their pieces lined up.
Correct.
And so that is one thing that using this purl stitch and then using the knit stitches on either side to do your seaming with, that's one thing it does eliminate. You always know exactly where you are.
Correct. And she does provide picture, and I think maybe a YouTube link, but at least detailed picture step-by-step on how to do it if you're wanting to do that. And she does say it is optional. She also did a reinforced crocheted edge around the neck before picking up the stitches. Again, I have a wool garment. I did not find that necessary. It's not I like the look of it. It's not too stretched out or anything like that for me. I would say if 2 or more of my strands were a plant or heavy silk base, so I don't have the memory in those strands, then I would have done that for the structure, the stability, and to not have, as the day go on, my neckline just go oozing out over the edge. And I say silk. It does go, if you have like heavy alpaca content. Alpaca doesn't have as much memory. Right. Yes, this is a Suri. One of the strands is Suri, but 2 of them are wool bases. So the 2 negate the 1, in my opinion.
Right.
And again, that's purely my opinion. So if you think my opinion sucks, then don't listen to it and knit this how you want. I'll say, lazy knitter's not the right word. I don't like to do things that I think are unnecessary. I guess that is kind of lazy now that I say that.
I think it has to do with experience and what you like, and you have enough experience knitting with a wool garment, knowing how it's going to behave, how you like it to be. So I don't think it's necessarily lazy. I tend to do the same things. I know with certain yarns that okay, that's not really necessary. If I were using a different yarn, or like you said, a plant fiber or something like that I was more concerned about, then I might go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
So,
And I think this is one of those garments that you can easily swap out plant-based yarns versus wool yarns. Like some patterns, because of how they fit and they drape and all this kind of stuff, it's not just a easy just swap
Correct.
3 strands, or you swap a
Correct.
DK for a DK. This is one that I think is a no-brainer. Very easy to switch out and to then have, say, like, maybe hold, to get the equivalent gauge, maybe like 2 strands of linny. I don't think you'd need all 3 because it's heavier.
Correct.
But you'd, again, play around with your gauge. You could do maybe like a strand of undine and a strand of undine DK, or maybe 3 strands of undine and have a fun marled effect. There's lots of, or a strand of undine and a strand of Anne. I mean, there's lots of different things you could
Correct.
do to really customize this, and I think all in all it's a fabulous pattern. And if you're like, wait a second, I feel like I've been seeing it, I feel like it's kind of gone quote unquote viral on Instagram and
Right.
the YouTubers all of a sudden rediscovering the pattern. I don't know who did that, but thank you, because it's a good pattern, and I don't know that I would have paid attention to it necessarily if I hadn't seen it go viral. Like, I know I think I first saw it, it was either Farmer's Daughter Fibers or Explorer Knits. I can't remember who I saw first, but one of those. And I know Explorer Knits was showing different marled options, which I really loved, and I think that's part, getting another fuzz.
lots of Suri floating around.
Lots of Suri is flowing around.
Including the cat.
But mostly this. And I lost my train of thought. But anyway, it's a great pattern.
Well, let me kind of segue into that
Okay.
subject about how do you find patterns. Those of us that are sort of into Ravelry, if you are on Ravelry a lot, you've probably looked at the page where it's the top 20 or the new releases or something like that. And I think new releases are easier to be attracted to, especially by the well-known designers, because they will pop up on your Ravelry feed more often. However, let's talk about what I'm wearing, since I don't have an FO.
Yeah, let's talk
This
about
was
it.
an FO back from the fall. Let me stand up where you can see this a little bit. This was a fun color work pattern, which is a little bit, I tend to, with my garments, I tend to be more conservative, and so this is a little bit out there, so to speak. I mean, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's meant to be fun. The designer of this pattern is Annalisa Filippi. I don't speak Italian. She is from northern Italy. She's from Torino, so I'm assuming it's Filippi. If I messed it up, I'm sorry, Annalisa. She's not a very well-known designer, but she has a multitude of some really beautiful color work yoke top sweaters, and her pattern is very well written. The only way I discovered her was somebody saw it with the seahorses and said, oh, that has your name written all over it, and I think they actually texted me a link or a picture or something of that nature. Otherwise, I probably would have never seen this pattern. So I think that's one of the things about being involved with a knitting community, is that you see things that you might not have otherwise.
Correct.
Whether it's your local yarn shop, whether it's watching podcasts like this one,
Yeah.
or browsing through Ravelry. Sometimes go past those top 20 and sort of go down the rabbit hole for some different patterns.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, okay, so I do the Instagram lives on, oh my gosh, what days?
Tuesdays and
Fridays. And so, I mean, it gets hard after a while to try to find a pattern that there's literally, like, I think over 1 million patterns on Ravelry, so it's not hard to find a pattern.
Correct.
But it can be hard to find, especially if all you ever look at, so I don't know if you paid attention, but if you pull up the advanced search on Ravelry, and you just see all the patterns. It's either usually pre-selected onto best match or hot right now.
Correct.
Occasionally it like defaults over to like just by name, but I think those are the two that it just like defaults to, I think, for most people. Well, if you do best match, you tend to, it's not always, I don't know exactly what they pulled, but sometimes
sure
it's
either,
like,
sometimes.
what was that? And yes, that was Suri just behind us. But a lot of times it pulls up things that, you know, a ton of people have knitted, like the Musselboro hat, boneyard shawl, you know, petite knit patterns, something that has
The
got
ranunculus.
the ranunculus that's got,
Right.
you know, 15,000 projects and things like that. And if you do hot right now, a lot of times it is predominantly, let's say, well, it can be easily influenced, you know, say Stephen West has a birthday sale. Everything on that
Right.
hot right now is Stephen West because that's what everyone's looking at and putting in their carts and things like that. So sometimes I do like the hot right now because it does update. I think it's either every 12 hours or every 24 hours. I think it's every 12 hours because it goes faster. But I will typically do like hot right now, but then jump to like page 20.
Ooh,
And then
hadn't thought
peruse
about
that for a few pages. Or I do a lot of searches because people will come in all the time. I have X yarn or I want to use X yarn, but I don't know what to knit. So then I don't search necessarily by the yarn itself, but I'll search either by the fiber content or by the weight. So a lot of times I'll just pull in, especially if I know I want to talk about a certain product on the live, I'll put in that weight, so fingering weight yarn, and I know I want to talk about accessories, then click on accessories and then pull up. So there's different ways you can sort to really find unique and different patterns on Ravelry than just that first page or so that you're seeing. And now they have, if you just click on patterns now, which is real cool, you can see debut patterns. You can see if you're on Ravelry a lot, it'll say patterns we think you might like.
Correct.
That are things that you haven't necessarily favorited or liked yet. Or if you have quote unquote friends on Ravelry, if you connect with other people, I think it shows you what your friends are looking at as well. I'm not the greatest on Ravelry. I'm just going to say that right now. But
You've gotten a lot better.
I've gotten a lot better. Now, do I update my stuff? No. That's okay. It's fine. I feel like we've just rambled a lot about Ravelry.
We have.
This was my finished object.
This was
what you're wearing.
What I'm wearing. By the way, I don't know if I said the name of the pattern.
didn't.
It's called Under the Sea. And I knit it in the Red Stag Fibre Yorkshire Sport with a spin cycle. A very special skein of spin cycle, but then aren't all skeins of spin cycle special. I think they are. And I love it.
It is Next Level, which is only available at a yarn story
in Bath,
England. I got it when I went on the retreat because it just screamed Cathie's name. And there was literally like 2 skeins left, and this one was just Cathie's colors.
Right.
And but I believe she has it online. If you,
I'm sure she probably does, since it is her particular. What do you call it?
It's her custom.
It's her custom color.
It's her custom color.
A spin cycle. Perfect for this pattern.
I don't know if I can say this, but anyway, sometimes she comes to the U.S. and brings it. Just saying.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
Special shows.
To shows and things. You know, you can figure that out later when they post about it. No, that's not like a hint that she's coming here. That's just
no. I wish.
I mean,
I
that
would
would be
love
great.
to meet her.
Carmen, if you want to come to Texas, come on down. But
Right.
you know, yeah. Okay. I do kind of have finished objects
Ish.
So, because I didn't talk about this.
No, I don't believe you did.
So I've started designing again. And I say again because I have designed in the past and then just got told, oh, you can't do math, so you should stop. So there's that. So I have a hat and a cowl. perfect for the freeze that we're about to have, right?
I know. It's like, why did I not knit this right quick?
I know. So this is going to be called the Gridscape Cowl and the Gridscape Hat by Sharon Graff, yours truly. And these will be coming out mid-March. They are still being tested. The hat's being tech edited because sizing and math, got to double check. But these are using the new Yorkshire worsted from Red Stag Fibre. And I've made it as a set to where you get 3 skeins of yarn. So natural Aberdeenshire and Moray Firth is what I used. And you reverse your main color and contrast color for either, if you want to knit between the two of them. I got to come up with a better way of saying this. So then you can knit the set out of just 3 skeins of yarn. Because if you use the main color for both, you're going to run out before you finish the hat of the main color, if the math is correct, which I'm getting verified by a tech editor, so don't worry about it. But it's a real simple colorwork design. So far, all the testers are loving it. They like it.
I love it.
It is charted because charts are easy, I think. And it has a real unique. It's not that unique, but it is
really
unique.
like the decrease.
The decreasing.
The decrease on the crown of the hat.
The decreasing is like what I envisioned, and it worked out perfectly. So, ta-da! And you can always put a pom-pom. There's also, so this is kind of, I'm calling it like the skull cap version, so no slouch or anything, but you can, the second sample I'm doing, I'm going to make it more of a slouchy version. So, patterns, Gridscape Hat and Gridscape Cowl will be coming out, like I said, mid-March, and the yarn will be out at the end of March. So,
looking forward to that.
yes. So I've been working on those as well. Samples. Yeah. So what else? What have you been working on?
Well, let's see. Most of my whips you saw the beginnings of. Let me reach down in here. You saw the beginnings of on the last episode. If you watched the last episode, I've made a little bit of progress here. This is the Yorkshire fingering that will also be coming out in March along with the worsted. And I've been working on a Tulsta by Rebecca Clow. It hasn't gotten a whole lot of love recently, but I'm getting close to separating for sleeves. I think I have about 10 more rows to go, maybe 15. I'm really loving the way this fingering weight yarn knits up. But the reason I haven't made much progress, can I just jump right into my next one?
Sure.
Is because, and I didn't have this cast on in the last episode because the yarn had not even been dyed yet. This is my adventure into the new Yorkshire worsted. And this is the Staffen by Rebecca Clow. And I am doing the vest version. And this is in the Yorkshire worsted in the colorway Royal Ballet. And it is an exercise in textured stitches, and I love the way this yarn.
I just want to see.
There we go.
Okay, there's now you can see the color because it was like going up the lighting in here.
The lighting was
weird.
washing the color out.
Yeah, so now you can see it's like barely pink.
But I love the stitch definition because it really is showing off well in this pattern, and as y'all may have figured out, I'm kind of a sucker for Rebecca Clow's patterns. There are several reasons why. Number one, they're almost always what I would consider classic based designs. So they're very somewhat conservative, I guess you would say.
I would say it's very wearable.
Definitely very wearable. Her instructions are excellent, and the patterns, she gives you a bonus in almost all of her patterns that have been released, I know for sure in the last year, maybe even a little bit longer. This particular pattern not only has the vest in it, but it also has the sweater and the cardigan.
Her pattern, I'll say, you get a big bang for your buck with her patterns.
Definitely.
And I feel like her patterns, I feel like Petite knit patterns, and there's a few other designers whose names are escaping me, but they have that kind of European capsule wardrobe sensibility to them. So it's items that you can wear over and over and over and over again. I mean, the Doppio is even like that. This is that sweater that you could knit multiple of and wear and not feel like you're wearing a bunch of the same things.
Correct.
But it's also the sweater that you could pull out over and over again if it was like just in your favorite color and wear like the sweatshirt, and you know, nobody would ever not realize that you're wearing it over and over again, I guess is the way I'm trying to say it. So very much that kind of capsule wardrobe sensibility,
the
or whatever.
necessity basics that everyone needs.
Yes, the classic white T-shirt, you know, kind of thing.
I mean, everyone doesn't need a seahorse sweater, okay?
No.
And that's okay. That's fine.
But something like the Tolsta tee is something that I think pretty much everyone that has knit a Tolsta tee has already cast on or has knit multiple.
Yes.
Either in different weights, different colors, different
striping,
variations.
a little bit of lace, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, because it leaves, when you have a basic pattern like that, it leaves so much room for your individuality. You can customize it without having to go to any massive lengths of trying to figure out the math, or oh my gosh, what do I change here, what do I change there. Just by adding some stripes, by adding some simple little changes to that basic pattern, they don't look alike.
No, they don't look alike. And the easiest way you could change a Tolsta tee is do a hand-dyed speckled yarn versus a, I'll say, commercial yarn like Sunday. So you could have a totally solid T-shirt, and then you could have, I'm thinking of Claire who comes in. She's knit a Tolsta tee, I think 2 or 3 times. She did one in a crazy bright hedgehog fiber, all over color speckle thing. And then she's doing one in like double Sunday. So she has like a nice solid, no speckle, just classic ones. And she's modified them all to long sleeve because that's what she likes.
Which, by the way, the pattern now includes the long sleeve instructions as well.
So it's one of those things that you can make it to be your wild and crazy, fun and funky T-shirt, a striped T-shirt, winter versions, summer versions, plant-based ones. There's all sorts of things. So
correct.
I
And
think it's great.
while we're talking about it, the Tolsta tee itself does come with both a DK and a fingering weight version in the pattern,
And
along with all the little modifications.
yeah, I was going to
and
say like
suggestions.
a modifier document kind of thing
Correct.
as well. Oh no.
Oh dear, drop stitches.
Okay, it's fine. So I thought I would share, because I have made some progress on it,
Yay!
my balloon sweater by Petite Knit. Where's my stitch marker? So you can see I've actually made some progress. I've been putting progress keepers in.
Okay.
So keeps me a little motivated. And then last night I was feeling very unmotivated, so I cast on or picked up a knit for the sleeve to maybe I need to clean the camera. I don't know why it's it just looks cloudy. Hold on. That's a little better, actually, I think. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, a little better. Okay, so, sorry about that. So this is the
Do
balloon.
not adjust your television. There is nothing wrong with your set.
What is it?
those?
The magic of Technicolor. Ta-da! So we've been watching a lot of old movies lately, and they all color provided by Technicolor, and they do a big deal about
Right.
it. Anyway, so this is my, I almost said Tolsta tee. It's not. It's the balloon card.
We are having a difficult time today.
It is the balloon sweater by Petite Knit. I really like, and again, this is navy yarn, so you can't really see it up close, but there's a continuous sleeve design in here that's really pretty in person. I'm using Her Majesty's Navy on Dachas sock by Red Stag Fibre. Again, mohair, so I'm getting fuzz everywhere. I'm just attracting
you're
it.
like a magnet
I
today.
am. Well, and I put on like extra moisturizer because it's so dry out, and so it's like
Don't
you
even
know.
get me started on the dry out. I cannot
no.
keep my skin moisturized. I can't even say the word moisturized. That's how dry it is.
So it's Red Stag Fibre Dachas sock, Her Majesty's Navy, with discontinued Shibui Noire. That being said, Mad Tosh bought out Shibui and is re-upping it. So I believe I saw somebody saying you can get Noire now. They didn't bring back all the colors, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyway, I love it. I really want to get this finished and wear it. So
And you'd better hurry because our winter is
wrapping up
rapidly going away.
I mean, it says it was 28 degrees out this morning, but
And it was. I will attest to that.
But it's also going to be, I think, 70-something later this week, and then it's going to be 25 again, and then it's probably going to be in the 80s again.
Right.
So
I nearly froze this morning. I got in my car and my air conditioner was on full blast.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the last time I drove, I needed it.
Exactly. So I am putting in the progress keepers, and I'm dedicating, I have to work on this at least for 30 minutes sometime during the week, just so I can get some progress in it. And I realized, and I think I talked about it a little bit, is that the reason some of my projects like this one keep getting put to the side is because it's dark out in the evening, because I've been so busy, we're getting 0 daytime knitting in at all. And so it's dark out when I knit. We don't have the overhead lights on because we're those people that don't like overhead lights, you know. And so it's a little hard to knit. This one's a little bit easier because it's just knit in the round. So this one I really don't have an excuse. This one that I'm going to show you next, I can't do at night because it's charting and all that fun stuff. But needless to say, this has been on the needles for far too long. If you've been a viewer of the podcast, I think this has maybe been on the needles for 2 years now, maybe 3.
I don't feel so bad now.
Because I'm pretty sure the yarn was not discontinued when I cast this on. But I'm not 100%, so there is that. And again, there's nothing wrong with the pattern or anything. It's just, I get bored with just plain stocking it in the round. And nighttime knitting. Mm-hmm. And I used to knit in the dark all the time, but, I guess.
Well, time change is coming soon, but the problem with that is when we get the time change and we have lots of light in the evening, we also get the heat. So
you get the heat. You don't necessarily want to knit with mohair.
Right. So
/ I like to go for walks after dinner when it's actually light enough to do so.
Correct. There's that time gone.
I could walk and knit, but I don't want to walk outside with mohair. So, lots of things.
Right.
Okay. So I'll jump in with this.
Yes, please.
My other dark project.
This is looking great.
So this is the Hana, and I did knit a little chunk on this last night. So this is the section I'm knitting, which is like charts 6 and 7. Oh, I don't know. There you go. You can really see it now. It's kind of blown out, but you can see the stitch patterning in that. So my understanding, I haven't read all the way through, is I just need to finish another repeat of this. So bring it out to about here, and then the back panel will be done. And then I do the front panel.
Sharon, I've got to say something about this.
What?
A lot of people say, or I hear or read, that you shouldn't pick dark colored yarns for things that have a lot of textures and cables and things like that in it. I disagree, and I disagree primarily because I think, number one, they are extremely difficult to photograph.
Yes,
and or show on video like this.
Okay, so if you're looking at this right now, it just looks like a blob.
It does, but seeing it in
person.
person, I can see all the detail work in it. It definitely shows up, and it's beautiful. Yeah. And so sometimes I think we're sometimes influenced by things that are not necessarily real life.
Well, and I will take it a step further and throw your pitchforks at me now. But especially, okay, so back that up. I watch a lot of like minimalism podcasts, style podcasts when I'm not watching knitting and stuff like that. So everybody and the brother out there is doing the whole find your colors. What are your best colors? You know, do you wear cool? Are you an autumn, warm, winter, summer, farty, flower, whatever? Okay. It's true. Okay. It is. That's the huge thing right now.
Yes. Again,
yeah, I know
Again.
it was was
Yes.
it like late 80s that
gosh, I don't even remember, but I remember going to get
because there was
tested
like
in the mall.
Yeah, you could go to like the mall and get your
Right.
colors done and stuff like that. So I think it's in fashion and out of fashion and in. Okay. So needless to say, I was watching really interesting because I watch a lot of podcasters that like do that, like that you pay them to do that
Yes.
for you, which is fine. Like I do see a benefit of finding out what colors might work for you really well. But at the same time, I think some people take it and so they're like, for example, I have been told in the past, you should never wear anything red toned or pink toned.
And I'm sitting here looking at you with this sweater on and thinking it really, really compliments you and your coloring. It looks great.
And I will say this, I will get a lot of people in the shop, especially, and I don't mean this negatively, but of a certain age that will walk in and just before I even say anything, it's like, I can't wear yellow. I can't wear this. I can't wear this. I can't wear
Guilty.
Whereas it's like, okay, yes, there may be a shade of yellow that you can't wear or a shade of green you can't wear. But I wouldn't just throw out an entire color.
See, and I did that for so long because I was told I couldn't wear green.
Yeah.
I have an olive tone to my skin, and what I can't wear are the olive greens. I can wear other greens. So
There's so many tones of colors out there. So like a lot of people are like, oh, I can't wear yellow. And then they end up putting gilded next to their face, which has a very deep gray undertone. So, I mean, for, I would say 90% of people, they actually look good with gilded up by their face. It brightens their skin. But a lot of people are just like, oh no, that will make me look like I, am white as a sheet or like I'm sick or something like that. And it's like, I think some of that is just that programming in your head.
correct.
Versus what you're being told. So like we had somebody in here. It's like, I've been told all my life I can't wear XYZ color. And it's like, I'm thinking to myself, well, that's stupid, but whatever. I keep that inside voice.
Inside voice, yes.
And so then we picked out this beautiful thing and supposedly a color that they couldn't wear. And they kind of hemmed and hawed about it or whatever. And then they're like, oh, well, if I don't like it, then I'll give it to a friend. Made it, and it looks stunning
Fabulous.
on them. So it's like,
Yes.
don't let somebody else's opinion of a color. Again, I'm going to get pitchforked for it. But, if you like gold, wear gold.
Well, and here's the other thing, and this is what it took me a long time to realize. There are colors that I really, really like, but I can't wear next to my face.
Sure.
Put them somewhere else. Put a stripe. Put color work. I mean, this puts the blue up next to my face, and then I've got all of this color work in the different colors. Looks great.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want to make sure it's nowhere near your face, do color work on, for your cuffs.
on the cuffs. Near the hem.
Put it on socks. I mean, there's lots of things. Put it on the border of a shawl, because most of the time when you wear a shawl, you're going to have, I'll say the quote unquote top of the shawl
Correct.
up by your face. And so whatever, especially if you're a triangle shawl, do that in a color that you like and is flattering, and then put your fun spirit color, your border color, as something down by the bottom or as an accent throughout or as just a little pop. And wear the colors that you like. If it brings you happiness, you should wear it. That's my opinion.
I agree, 100%.
So, and that being said, this is coming from someone that wears the majority black, white, and gray, and beige.
I was trying not to bring that up.
But
says the person who is always asked which color of blue are you going for this time.
That's true. But I do like, especially in the summertime and in the wintertime, I enjoy knitting with colors because everything is so gray
Right.
here. I like coral. Okay? I like coral. I think it's pretty.
It is pretty.
And the people who say it's a type of pink, well, to you, because I don't care. It's gorgeous because I do have a thing that I don't wear pink. And that has nothing to do with me not looking good in the color. I just have a aversion to it. That's a whole nother podcast episode that we're never going to go into.
We don't have time to get into all of that.
No, but so I'll segue into my next cast on. This is the Capital V by Rosa Pomar, and it's going to be a vest, and it's going to be so fun and so bright. And you're thinking, where will you wear this? I envision myself wearing this over like a white tank top.
Oh, 100%.
And I have a lot of linen pants. I love to wear linen pants in the summertime. So linen pants, a white tank top, and this on top. I've got some maxi dresses, like black and beige and navy maxi dresses that this will just add a fun pop over top of. So yeah, I'm allowed to have a little color in my life, and it makes me happy. This is Twisted Ambitions Bodacious Boucle in the colorway Sunrise. Got this at the trunk show that Ross did. I love it. It's just so good.
It just makes me smile. It makes
It's
me
just happy.
It is a happy color. It's a very happy color.
And I can knit it this at night.
So that's interesting because let's talk about boucle for a moment.
Okay.
I had some struggles this week with boucle. Now, because of the type of person I am, I go into research mode when I have an issue and I start researching about knitting with boucle. And 90% of what I found is like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, it's a tragedy that you even picked this yarn in the first place. And the other thing is that I read was, oh, well, you should never do anything but straight stockinette or garter stitch on boucle. Well, I'm a little bit of a rebel. And I had showed the cast on last podcast for the Nutsfield cardigan by Sasha Hire. But I had a problem. Did I swatch? Yes, I did what I call a quick and dirty swatch. What I discovered is, with this boucle yarn, and it's a lace pattern, so it's basically a yarn over knit two together, I was struggling. I mean, I was fighting to get my needle into the stitches to do the knit two together.
And I wouldn't consider you to be a tight knitter. I've
never
very
been a tight knitter.
average.
I am like right down the middle of the road. If you want a line, I'm right down the middle of the road 99% of the time. This was the 1% where I was not. And I want this object. I want this cardigan. I love this yarn and the colors. So I went to thinking, okay, what do people say when you're too tight?
Go
up a needle size. And I thought to myself, if I go up a needle size, I'm just going to be fighting the same problem with bigger needles. It's not going to change the fact that I'm struggling to knit these stitches.
Because it's that the yarn over was getting too tight.
Correct.
And so the yarn over was getting too tight, which means you couldn't go into the yarn over comfortably to do a knit two or whatever that stitch is.
Correct.
So again, changing the size of your needle, yes, slightly increases that size of the yarn over, but it's still tight around the needle, so you're still tight.
So I'm still fighting it. So I thought to myself, okay, what else can I do? And I thought, I know what I'm going to try. I'm going to, instead of doing a single yarn over, I'm going to do a double yarn over, and I'm simply going to drop that extra yarn over when I get to the point of knitting it. Now, look at the difference. This is the result I wanted.
Yeah.
This is the lacy pattern that it should be. Plus, it's like 100 times easier to knit. So now I'm back on track and I'm enjoying the heck out of knitting this. Let's look at the difference here.
This, which is a little bit too tight for gauge,
Correct.
obviously.
Obviously.
And you would have to get the visual of the lace. I've got to like stretch it out so you can even see it. It just kind of looks like loose garter stitch. So yeah.
So, the takeaway from this for me, and I hope for someone else, is if you are struggling with a particular issue in your knitting, if you're not a researcher like me, talk to somebody. Go to your local yarn store. Drop a message. Call the shop here and say, I'm really struggling with this. What are some options? What can I do?
I would say, especially if you don't have an LYS or a knitting group or whatever, feel free to send us a message. We look at IG messages, I would say, every day. You can also send us an email. You can give us a phone call. You can send us a text message on the phone. We're here to help you. Like, don't feel like, well, I didn't buy something from them, blah, blah. It's fine. It's fine. Just, if you're struggling, give us a call. I would say, I mean, you can always do things like submit a question to Andrew Mowry. I don't know how quickly your message would get selected, but she would have a great answer for you, I'm sure.
Correct.
We can get to you fast.
Right. And the thing about it is, and don't be embarrassed. No, I've been knitting for more years than most of you have been alive. So don't be embarrassed that you've run into something and you're struggling to find an answer for.
Yeah.
Somewhere somebody has either experienced the same thing, has an idea of something you might try. And again, I think sometimes people are too reluctant to experiment a little bit.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, I did a quick and dirty swatch, which basically meant I knit about 3 rows on stockinette to test my gauge. Oops. When it says gauge and pattern, sometimes it definitely does make a difference. But I found a solution. I'm happy. I'm back on track. I'm still excited about the project.
Yeah.
And away we go.
Perfect.
Which segues right into your issues.
So, did I reknit this already? Did I reknit it on the last
No,
podcast?
I don't believe so. We talked about it a little bit.
We did. So, this is my Seasons cardigan by Haley Smiley, Ozetta, and this is a sweater that I ripped out several times. And it's not a fault of the pattern. I will say her pattern is written to where you should read it all the way through first. Because there's things that you think, oh, I should be doing this, and then you read the next paragraph, while you are doing that, you should also do X, Y, Z. And so, again, that's not a fault of the pattern, that's a fault of me not reading the pattern. So, but something I figured out, finally, after getting weird buckles, and this is not a buckle, but like really buckling on here, was that I was picking up my stitches along here way too tight. Way too tight. And I was picking up stitches for this last night because I was picking up here. And I just noticed that I apparently I'm a very loose knitter, but when it comes to picking up stitches, I'm like the world's tightest. But I know why, because I only pick up with the little tippy tip of the needle.
Right.
So that's my problem. It's an issue. I know it. So what I did on my third time picking up those stitches, picked up the stitch, kind of gave it a little extra wiggle room, picked up the whole row, and then because it's a kind of a stretchy neckband, I just sat there and just kind of stretched it out, massaged it, if you will, to get rid of the puckering that was there. And now it's great, and it's fabulous, and I love it. And it's going to be the coziest little sweater ever.
Looking so good.
It is. So I separated for sleeves. Haven't gotten too far past the sleeves, but I have separated for sleeves, and I'm enjoying it. I think it's going to be great. And yes, it's beige. That's fine, because I need a good beige sweater. So the yarn is Germantown from Kelborn Woolens, It's just one of those workhorse yarns that everyone should
Sure.
knit with. If you're like, oh, it's scratchy, it's not. Hate to break it to you, but it's not.
It's not.
It is just a good wool. It softens up, like the difference between feeling it here and here. This is not blocked, this is not steamed or anything. It's like 10 times softer in the garment, and it will only get softer when I block it.
Correct.
So, yes, you should always touch and feel your yarn, but also if you're like, that might be scratchy, don't let that just turn you away from a yarn, because this yarn is absolutely a dream to work with.
Yes.
Also,
And there are a lot of those yarns that as you work with them,
they get softer.
they get softer.
The other thing, I will just put this out there, and I'm not calling anyone out, but for those of us who maybe really enjoy hand dyed yarn, and good quality yarn that is a lot of times put up in a hank form, I've noticed some of us, and myself included, have been guilty of this in the past, see a bullet put up that is very reminiscent of good old Red Heart, and kind of have a little bit of a flashback to when that was the only thing we could afford to knit with, or something like that, and are like, oh, I'm going to stay away with it, or could find, and I'm going to stay away from it. Don't let that be you. Because if you're just like walking away from Germantown because it's put up like a Red Heart yarn,
That's not a good reason.
it's not a reason. Just saying, if it really bothers you, reskein it. You can do that. I've actually done that for a few people in the store. It does actually soften it up as you rewind it into the ball, partly. But it's just an awesome yarn to work with. And it's one of those that if you knit a garment out of it, it's going to be around for a very long time, because it's just a hard-wearing, hard-working yarn. And it's 100% made in America with American wool. It's really, really cool concept. So that was my little rant on Germantown. I think it's awesome. I know. I'm just full of rants and things today.
We've really kind of been on a tear, haven't we?
We are just all over the place. Hot mess Monday. Do you have any more whips?
I do, and I think you have one very similar.
Oh, do we have the same?
Oh, we do. You've gotten a little bit more progress on yours since I just literally cast mine on.
Okay. Also all tangled up here. So we sell these things called project bags, and you should probably, use them. I don't, and so my yarn's a tangled mess. It's just saying. Okay. So this is the Through Lines by Andrea Mowry that has taken the Instagrams by storm, and I love it. Okay, so I'm not huge on shawls just because I don't wear shawls very often, but this is, I'll say, in the reminiscent of that Sophie shawl-esque shape, where it's long but narrow-ish. I mean, it's going to be, I think, 24 inches deep, I think, so 2 foot deep, but it's not like a triangle shaped shawl that's like half a blanket, so I like the shape, I like the stitch pattern, I just am liking it overall. I was listening to Candace of Farmer's Daughter, and I totally 100% agree with her about the stitch patterning. Apparently she was getting complaints that the stitch pattern is not memorizable. It isn't like right off the bat, but once you get 8 to 10 repeats in, then it clicks, and then it's like, oh yeah, I can do this. So it does get intuitive.
A little patience at the beginning.
Be a little patient, and it's just so good. So it is 3 colors. I am using Camper. So this is another Kelborn Woolens. No, it's not black. This is chestnut, so it's a deep chocolate. This is the fingering version of Scout, and it's fabulous. So again, if this is another yarn you've slept on, quit sleeping on it. It's $9.50 a skein, 200 yards. It's fabulous, not only for the price, but for the yarn itself. It's just so good. And then my second color is Oatmeal in Camper. And then,
Guess what?
a beige. This is House Blend from Spin Cycle on Dyed in the Wool. And it's basically shades of beige, and brown. And it's fabulous. And I think this is why they turned down my custom color, because it was basically this. So, you know.
Right? It's like, oops, we've already done that.
You already did that. It's like, that's fine. Yes, I have put this on our order. No, we don't have any right now because nobody has it. Well, except for Spin Cycle themselves. But once we get it in, I ordered a ton of it. I'm sure it will sell out. I have a feeling this is the new Ghost Ranch. At least for people like me.
For those that are
those
stuck
like
on neutrals. But it really is. It's very pretty, and it gives you some variation so that it's not just flat.
It is.
I think
not
that's
flat.
important.
It's fabulous, and I'm adoring it.
So mine is very tiny. It's a little bitty baby one.
Itty bitty baby.
I am using Cottage Sock. My main color is Van, which has been discontinued. So if you really like this color, hammer Red Stag Fibre to bring it back.
Yes.
And my second color is Birch, which is right in the wheelhouse of beige. It's a very light,
It's a very creamy
beige. And then for my Spin Cycle colorway, I am using Space Oddity. And so this will go from the grays, which you can see it's just, I don't know if you can even see, it's barely differentiated right here. But as I get further in, it's going to be beautiful.
Now, I will say Space Oddity was discontinued a few rounds ago, but I have heard that sometimes they will like discontinue a color and then like a year later you can order it again.
Bring it back.
So like limited runs sort of thing. So
But I think
I'm not taking it. Here's the thing. I'm not taking it off the website yet. So if it's a color that you think you might want, obviously I have none, but go ahead and sign up to be notified. That way, if we ever do get it, you'll get a notification that, oh, we have Space Oddity back.
And that being said, there are some other Spin Cycle colors that are somewhat similar, that you could get a somewhat similar effect in with the turquoise color, but maybe a little bit darker in the alternate colors.
What would I mean, light years would, it doesn't have the pops of orange.
Correct.
But light years would give you a similar effect. I mean, Havana would in a tonal version.
Which I'll tell you, I almost used Havana in this project.
I
was very close, very close.
This is going to sound really weird if you're familiar with Spin Cycle colors, but sometimes you'll get a skein of Big Sky that'll be very reminiscent of that color combo. Just a little more pink than the orange. But, okay, I think that's our cast-on-itis episode, right? I don't have any other things cast on, but I have ideas for other things, so maybe next episode.
Lots of ideas coming.
We are apparently long-winded, and that's fine. But I do want to share a few things that we have new in the shop. First off, for all my crocheters, we have in the granny square card decks. These are super cute. So if you've been familiar with things like the doodle decks for knitting, things like that, this is kind of the same idea, but for granny squares. These are designed by Claire Montgomery. So you get 50 granny square cards. You can lay them out, mix and match. She gives you a booklet on how to like create things with it, and a guide to reading the stitch chart, how to do color matching, joinings, etc., all that stuff. She also has a book, Not Your Granny Squares, I think, as well, that you could like get the book and then do the card deck to really mix and match.
I love the idea of a card deck because then you can think, I think these two would look good together, but I'm not real sure. You can actually play around with it.
Well, and then you could kind of plug in the same idea, like, and use these for if you have like the Jethro pattern.
Yes.
But you don't want to do the regular granny squares. Well, you could do fun and funky granny squares like this. I don't even know what you call it. That kind where it's like off-centered granny square. you know, you can see at the top, or the ones with the flowers in it, or the circle granny, you know, and really make 2 totally different looking sweaters out of the same pattern. I know. You got ideas.
Thoughts are just going. And
Oh, it's okay.
this book.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
This book.
So it took forever because apparently FedEx couldn't find us, and then it got delayed and whatnot. Who knows? But we finally got our Knits to Wear by Veronica Lindberg. This is 17 different patterns that are truly wearable. Like we were talking about the whole wearability thing. Okay. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say if you only ever bought one book for garments, I'm only ever buying one book ever to knit my garments out of, this would be it.
Can't argue.
Because there are things from very simple things to very intricate things that you can then mix and match. You could literally create a knitted wardrobe out of this book. When she says Knits to Wear, it's legitimate. It is wearable items year round, cardigans, tank tops, full sweaters, hats, accessories. This is definitely a book that I think could be your desert island knitwear book. And it has good, I won't say tutorials, but like tips for garment knitting specifically. So that's my little spiel on that. I know.
Definitely on my wish list.
And then we got in the Finnish knits. So if you remember Nordic knits from a few months ago, this is the Finnish specific book. Goodness, I have the hiccups again. So this is 18 patterns from Finland's top designers. There's also a really cool story about Finland's #1 yarn shop, which I didn't put 2 and 2 together, that also they created Tukuwool.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I am going to butcher the name of the shop. I'm just going to say because, you know.
Finnish is not our first language.
Finnish is not our first, second, third, or fourth language by any stretch of the means. And to be honest, to a Texan, it looks like titty. So I'm sure it's not. And I hope I don't get like censored right now because I said tits on YouTube. Just saying. Anyway, fabulous articles, patterns. Again, you have that kind of Nordic sensibility of very wearable items.
But a lot of variety in this book too. You have cables, you've got some lace, you've got some color work, you've got
knitted shorts if you want them.
There you go.
So there's color work shorts in here. But it's also a great coffee table book too, because I think your coffee table book should be full of knitting.
Of course.
Why not?
Of course.
And then last thing we're going to talk about, Red Stag Fibers, Valentine's colorway, Vintage Love. We still have some. This is the DK. This is a cake of it on cottage sock. And we have the Tool to Go caddies from Happy Studios. I want to call it Happy Bee so bad. I am so sorry. I think Tracy.
Once it's in your brain, you can't get it out.
It's Happy
Bee.
HAPBE. Happy Bee. But the cool part about these caddies is you get the handle, but you also, the base is a knitting gauge, and you have a 4-inch ruler here, like a T ruler. And it's also rounded on the bottom, so it can work on a table, mildly so in a pinch. But I also just think it's fabulous. I personally, my favorite way to use these, I could walk and knit. Yes, I could. But my favorite way is, you know, in the car, you got the death grab handle or whatever. I take my hair clip, because I always have a hair clip, and I clip it to the car, and then car knitting, I can just have easy going. Obviously,
Safety,
I'm
not driving. Not driving. Although we do have some people that knit at red lights or
Oh yeah,
Stuck
People
in
knit at
traffic jams.
Red lights. I mean, I'd rather see someone knitting and driving than playing on their phone and driving. That's just me, but whatever.
Whatever.
But these are great. You can also, I've seen, apparently people are getting those from like Walmart. You know, you hang your bananas on them.
Oh, the banana stands. Okay,
Yeah.
the fruit, the little
Fruit hooky doodad.
hooks. It's like a plant hanging basket
Yeah.
hanger, shepherd's hook.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then you stick this on either on the handle if it's tall enough, or just this little part, and
And there you go. Wonderful
Options.
idea.
so, we've babbled on for an hour and 4 minutes. Just have a lot to share.
On an episode we weren't sure it was even gonna have anything to talk about.
I wasn't sure I was going to get here. Honestly,
It was questionable for
It
a
was
little bit.
questionable for a hot minute. So, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed our banter, and we just have a lot to share. And yeah, enjoy.
And don't forget to check us out next time, because
Yep.
you never know what's happening at the Modern Skein.
That's true. That sounds scary, also. But like and subscribe if you enjoyed. I hope you did. And if you don't tell us. And then do stay tuned. If you are at all in the area, or maybe you're traveling through, check out our events calendar on the website. We're always having events. LYS Day is coming up at the end of April, and we are already planning, and it's going to be so good. I'm going to announce next month what all is in store, because it's fabulous. We do have some yarny goodness on its way, in case you're wondering. We do.
We do.
Fabulous.
We do.
Fabulous. And I think it'll be here in time to show on the next podcast. And then we've got trunk shows, of course, coming in. Next month is Cornbread and Honey out of Ohio. So did the camera just tilt? Or was that my head that
I think it's
tilted?
your head.
Okay.
I don't think the camera's gone anywhere. We're
Okay,
just a
we're
little
gonna-
out of kilter today.
We're gonna wrap this up. But do check out the website, like and subscribe, give us a comment, and I hope you enjoyed, even if you have to break up the episode, because I know some people don't like long episodes. I personally love a long episode, so yeah. Have a great day. Help you knit, crochet, spin, weave, whatever floats your boat, and we'll chat soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.